Hello, and welcome back to the Scale Modelling Cafe. My name is Jamie, and welcome to the first in a new style of video, a more sort of conversational piece to camera. I'm going to pick a subject, and I'm just going to offer my opinion on it, and we can have a discussion. Maybe I'll even actually, having just popped into my head, I could do this Premiere thing, and we can have a live chat as I'm going along. And that might be quite good fun. Yeah, I might do that. So as you saw in the introduction, or at the start, the subject of this video is I'm going to pick 5 of some of my most favourite manufacturers and just pick a couple of models, sort of no more than 2 or 3, that I think are missing from their range. So it's a bit of sort of head versus heart here as well. We all have our favourite subjects. I mean, I would love Airfix to do a 1/24th scale Tucano. Clearly that's never ever going to happen. So I've tried to put a lid on my enthusiasm in some areas, and I've just picked subjects that I think that I like, but I think would fit really, really nicely into their ranges. It's the sort of subject that they're known for. And the manufacturers I've gone for are Airfix, Eduard, Tamiya, Special Hobby, and Arma Hobby. That's not an exhaustive list, and if this proves popular and people like it, then I'm definitely up for doing this same sort of thing for other manufacturers. But I just thought I'd stick with those 5 to begin with, and then maybe we can expand these videos later on. Who knows? So it'd be great to have your comments below and join in with the discussion. And yeah, it's nothing too serious here, and I don't have any insider knowledge. Obviously I don't. I'm just a modeler. Anyone who claims to have insider knowledge, I think frankly is lying or craving attention. So yeah, even though I know a few people who work for Airfix, for example, I'm not giving anything away, or maybe I am inadvertently and I've stumbled across the right answer. But it's certainly not intentional. This is just a bit of fun, just something to spark a discussion. So let's kick off then. And I'm going to kick off with Eduard because they are my favourite manufacturer. And I'm thinking of doing a series of these chat things and just talking about a particular manufacturer, and we'll go down the rambling rabbit hole and see where that leads. But they are my favourite for various reasons. The subjects they do, the fit of the kits, the detail, especially outside. I do love riveted aeroplanes. I think it just adds massively to the overall finished model, and it saves me from doing it, frankly. So I've picked 3, well, sort of 4 really, but sort of 2 are in brackets. The first one is they're all in 48 scale. The first one is the P51 B/C, so the Razorback Mustang. Now, I found it quite difficult with Eduard because they do tend to announce things way in advance, sometimes years in advance. And I've tried to steer away as well from inevitable stuff, even though that hasn't been released or announced, rather. So, for example, I think the 1/72nd scale Spitfire Mark V, for example, is an absolute no-brainer. And we will see that at some stage. So I could have added that, but I haven't. Some may say that the Razorback Mustang is inevitable, so why have I included it? Well, I've included it because manufacturers tend to release a less popular mark first, so everybody rushes out and buys that, and then they go in and do the most popular. So, for example, Eduard have released the Dash 3 Wildcat first, the earlier one, rather than say the Dash 4 or the later one with the tall tail, the FM2. So it's a clever marketing strategy really, and the fact that they haven't released the Razorback Mustang makes me wonder if they're ever going to do it. Excuse me, and so I'm not entirely sure that they will, and that's why I've included it in here, because I think really they should. The only other one that's decent really is the Tamiya Mustang. That's getting really long in the tooth. It's a nice kit. I built it. It goes together well. But an Eduard model of that would just be sublime. It really would. So that's my first one, the Razorback Mustang. The next one is the Sea Fury in 48 scale again. And the reason I chose this is, yes, I'm a Fleet Aeron fanboy and I love the Sea Fury to bits. But they've done the Tempest. They've done the Tempest in the different marks. The Mark II radial version, which is the precursor to the Sea Fury. Obviously, they've done the, I think it's the Mark VI, isn't it, with the big chin. So they've done that. So it's a kind of a natural progression of the lineage, really. And yes, there's the Airfix Sea Fury, but I think it's fair to say that an Eduard Sea Fury would blow it out of the water. The Airfix Sea Fury has its place, but it does take a lot of work to bring it up to that sort of finessed looking model. Whereas an Eduard one, you just throw it together and, you know, job's a fish. There we go. It's all done. And I nearly said the Typhoon in 48th, but again, I'm really trying to restrict this to just a couple of models. And they have released the Hasegawa kit in as a limited edition. So they've kind of done it already, if that makes sense, in the range, even though it's not their plastic and it is an older kit. So that's why I've included it. Right, moving on. I've gone for Spitfires. Now they've done the Mark 1, the Mark 2, the Mark 5, the Mark 8, the Mark 9, the Mark 16. But I really think what Eduard, I nearly said would be advised, and that's not the kind of phrase I'm looking for, but what's missing from their range are the long-nosed Griffin aeroplanes. So the Mark 14 Razorback. Airfix have done the bubble top. But again, same arguments with the Sea Fury. It's you know, it's typical Airfix, without wishing to be too rude. And I am going to do a separate video on Airfix. So I just think that the 14 really lends itself to the range. It's kind of a natural progression from the Mark 9s, the Mark 8 and 9s. You've got European ones. You've got the inevitable Johnny Johnson aeroplane. You've got the Far East aeroplanes as well that fought in the CBI. So what's that? The China-Burma theatre. And again, it's kind of a natural follow-on from those Merlin Spitfires. I mean, I'd dearly love them to do the Seafires based on the Mark 5 kit, but you know, we're only talking a set of new fuselages, really, and a few other, you know, minor bits and pieces. Prop exhaust that they've already got. They could take that from the Mark 9 and a few other bits and pieces. So, but to be honest, I can't see them doing it, even though I dearly love them to do it. So I think the 14 would be a great launching pad to then go off and do the PR19. And again, the same arguments with the Airfix kit as well. But again, I think that would, you know, it's a good subject from a marketing point of view. I think it would sell well. And again, it's the natural lineage from the Merlin Spitfires that they've already done. If I won the Euro lottery, I would invest in Eduard as a company, and the first kit I'd get them to do is the Seafire 17. But that's just me. And I think we all have that lottery dream. Again, well, there you go. There's another subject for another video right there and then. So that's Eduard. That's the first one. Razorback Mustang, Sea Fury, Spitfire 14 and 19. The next manufacturer is, I'm going to talk about, is Tamiya. I think arguably the best engineered kits that are released. They're very innovative in areas as well, maybe a little bit too innovative in certain areas, if I can be bold. And I've gone for a 1/32 scale model for this one. And what I think is kind of in the natural series is a Hurricane. And the reason I went for a Hurricane is primarily is it's Merlin engined. They seem to like their Merlin engine aeroplanes. Obviously started off with the Spitfire Mark 9 and then the 8. They've done the Mustang, they've done the Mosquito. So why not do a Hurricane? And I think a Mark II fits in better just because of the it's more sort of akin to the engines, the Merlin Marks that they've done in those other kits. Arguably, I think you can make a good argument. It's poor grammar, isn't it? For a Mark 1, with all the Battle of Britain, you've got the desert schemes, etc., etc. But I think a Mark 2C, with those cannons, would fit better. Maybe would sell more. I don't know. Maybe it wouldn't. Maybe they get, you know, more marketing out of a Battle of Britain Spitfire. I don't know. But they haven't done the Mark 5. They haven't done the Mark 1 or 2. So they tend not to, you know. Whereas Eduard will just go complete to town. You know, you look at the 109s in 48. They've done all the E's, F's, G's. The K is coming. The FW190s, they've done all of them pretty much, including the, you know, obscure early A2s and things. So to me, it tends to be the opposite. They tend to do maybe sort of 1 or 2 and then stop, which is a shame. So if they're only going to do 1, I'd say they're more likely to do the 2C. And boy, wouldn't they do it justice with the detail on the cockpit and the inevitable open engine panels with the magnets holding them on. I think that would be great, and I think it fits well in this discussion. I think it fits well in their range. Right, what's next on my list? Special Hobby are next on the list, and I've gone again sticking with 1/32 scale, which they seem to have kind of moved away from. They dabbled in it with the Tempest, and for the same reasons for the Eduard choice of the Sea Fury, I've gone for the Sea Fury. I think a Special Hobby 1/32 scale Sea Fury kind of, if anyone's going to do it, it's going to be Special Hobby. It fits nicely in their range. They've done the Tempest. That was a good kit, but challenging in areas trying to put it together. But I think Special Hobby have gone from strength to strength. They're clearly in the mainstream now, not the limited run genre. They've put a lot of investment in money and time into the technology, and their kits are now very much mainstream and well engineered and go together well. And I just think a Sea Fury would sit really well. And also, I think the other one I've gone for that's on my list here is the Typhoon, for the same reasons. Now, as I said, I've not included the Typhoon in the Eduard for what I've explained. I need to keep a lid on the number of models. It's not a massive extensive wish list, but maybe I could do a video on that later. But it kind of brackets, bracketing in sort of air defence terms, or bookending if you've got more of a literal bent, I suppose. The Tempest, you've got the precursor and the successor. And I think they do a really, really nice job of it, especially with their modern toolings now. So I think the Typhoon and the Sea Fury would really fit in that. I'm really going down a Hawker kind of vibe here, isn't it? Right, next one, second to last. So hang in there. Well done for sticking through this already. So the next manufacturer I've gone for is Arma Hobby. Obviously, I've stuck with 72nd scale, although they are bringing out the 48 scale Hurricane at some stage. Hopefully we'll see that soon. But 72nd scale seems to be their MO. And what is right up their boulevard would be an early P40. The B/C, or the B and the C, I suppose. Arma Hobby tend to sort of shoot for the sort of second tier aeroplane. The lesser of the two of the glamorous pair, if you like. So they've done the Hurricane, not the Spitfire. They've done the Key 84 Hyate, not the Zero. They've done the Razorback Mustang, not the Bubble Top. Although I'm convinced the Bubble Top's coming, and I'm pretty sure they've announced it anyway. that is coming. So I think the early war P40s would sit really nicely in their range. You know, does what it says on the tin of this video, if you like. It's a natural for them, being the sort of the less glamorous but popular aeroplane. I mean, dearly I'd love them to do the late war series, but again, I've got to be careful. I don't want to, you know, have a big long list. So I suppose I could call it, you know, what do I think they should do next? In that sense. And I think it would sell really well, especially in America. It seems like the Americans, you guys love your P40s, especially the early P40s. So I guess that's something to do with the Flying Tigers and Pearl Harbor and all that kind of stuff. So some iconic sort of boxings they could do, some not necessarily special editions, but you know, do a Pearl Harbor boxing, do a shark mouth one, do a desert one, you know, blah. List is not endless, but it's long and extensive. And the other one I'd really like to see them do, and again I think would fit really nicely in their range, is the P39, the Airacobra. Obviously, clearly, very popular Soviet Union. You've got lots of aces, you've got lots of different regiments, lots of different markings and camouflage options, lots of different marks that they could go and explore. You've got the Pacific Theatre. It was used extensively towards the beginning of the war. You've even got the RAF ones that, you know, that took in and then discarded. And I think the industry, us modelers, are crying out for a state-of-the-art, modern 1/72nd scale P39. It's not out there. So come on, Arma Hobby. Step up to the plate. Grass and nettle. I'm talking in cliches now, aren't I? So take the bull by the horns and let's see a P39, please, please. Could we? That would be fabulous. So that's Arma Hobby. One of my favourite manufacturers, almost my favourite manufacturer actually. Just picked to the post. A photo finish with Eduard. Right, and the last one I'm going to go for Airfix, obviously, because I'm British and there's a big logo on the front of the video. And I'm going to do a separate video on my thoughts on Airfix and talk about them as a company. So I'm not going to go through that now. I'm going to stick with the subject of the video. So I've gone for 1 in 72nd scale and 1 in 48 scale. The first one is 48 scale. So the one I think they should do next in 48 scale that fits well within the range is the Scottish Aviation Bulldog. For the same reasons really they did the Chipmunk. I think, and this is only my opinion, but I think they went down the Chipmunk route because the vast majority of modelers, and this is a sweeping generalisation, in the UK were in the Air Cadets and it's their first exposure to aviation to go flying in the Chipmunk. Certainly I did it, pretty much all my friends did it, sitting in the back, not being able to see much, incredibly excited. The best man at my wedding, my best friend from home, John Andrews, was the name of the character that jumped out in the safety video, so obviously he got a lot of banter. Hi Johnny, if you're watching. So, and I think for the same reason, the Bulldog fits in. I flew the aeroplane a lot when I was at university. I was a member of Liverpool University Air Squadron. It was kind of my downfall because I got kicked out of the University Air Squadron for being on the University Air Squadron all the time, to the detriment of my degree. Luckily, the boss, I kept on bumping into him in my career, and he's now a good friend of mine, Jack. So I went off and I flew a civilian one after that, which was an ex-Botswana Air Force one. You know, the markings they could do, you know, like I say, Botswana, Kenya, Sweden, so it was exported. But many modelers of a slightly younger generation than me, again, flew in the Bulldog on their air experience flights when they were in the Air Cadets. So it fits in that trainer. They've done the Tiger Moth, they've done the Chipmunk, and if they could do the Bulldog, fantastic. I can't see them doing the Grob Tutor. Sorry, phone. Let me just turn that off. Nige, if you're watching, that was you. So it fits in that lineage of 48 scale trainers. I can see them doing the Mars Master as well in 48, again, to fill that gap. So the Bulldog in 48 would be brilliant. Right, 72nd, and this is the last one. So again, well done. Thank you if you've been watching up to this point. And I've gone for the Handley Page Hamden. They have it in their classic range. And in fact, I think they released it not so long ago. Did they? I don't know. Maybe they didn't. Maybe it's my memory playing tricks. But they've done the Whitley. They've done the Wellington. They've done the Beaufort. And they've done the Beaufighter. Not a bomber, but... And there is a Hamden size and shaped gap in that range of early bombers. So if they were to retool that, I think that would be that would just be awesome. For all the other reasons, I'm a big fan of the aeroplane as well. I would love to there be a sort of a mainstream model that is going to fit together with sort of nice detail, and there's lots of different markings they could do. There's the ones we gave to the Soviets, there's Coastal Command, but also they tend to do models where they can do some well-known aircrew. So, for example, the Beaufort, they did the Victoria Cross one. The guys, you know, lost their lives attacking Brest. They could do Sergeant John Hanna's aeroplane, where he got his Victoria Cross for beating out the flames with his bare hands when the fire extinguishers ran out, and saved the aeroplane and saved the crew. They could do Guy Gibson's aeroplane. He flew it before the Lancaster at the beginning of the war. And it's a famous aeroplane in the RAF. It did fill that gap at the start of the war. They've done the Blenheim as well, obviously. Forgot about the Blenheim. So I could do the Battle. I'd love Airfix to do the Battle. But again, I just want to keep a lid on the number of subjects. So again, maybe I could do another video and do a big long list of kits I'd like to see Airfix do. So I think that's a nice one to finish on, actually. Airfix doing the 72nd Hamden. So there we go. That's the end of the video. Thanks very much. It'd be great to get your comments down below. Be great to hear your ideas. Again, please don't sort of rattle off your favourite subject that's quite obscure, that you're convinced would sell millions, the Blackburn or whatever, a Hayford in 32nd scale, a bit, try and do what I've done, pick one or two from a manufacturer that you think is right up their straws. It's the sort of thing they do. It's in their genre. It's missing from their range, and it would fit nicely with that manufacturer. And we'll see what you come up with. That would be great. And then maybe I could do a kind of a follow-up from your suggestions. Who knows? So thanks very much for watching. That's been brilliant. So in summary then, Eduard, Razorback Mustang, Sea Fury, Long Nose Griffon Spitfires, the 14 Razorback and the PR19. Tamiya 32nd scale Hurricane, probably just the 2C. Special Hobby in 32nd, Typhoon and Sea Fury. Arma Hobby, almost my favourite manufacturer, almost. Nearly there, guys. Doing the P40, early P40s series, the B and the C, and the P39 Aerocobra. And then finishing up with the icons, certainly in the UK, that are Airfix, doing the 48th Bulldog and the 72nd Hamden. Thank you very much for watching. I nearly flushed. I'm fluffing my lines at the end. Nearly said flushed as well. Thank you very much for tuning in, for watching, for interacting. It's been great. And I'll see you on the next video. Cheers. Bye-bye.